Hey, I'm Alex Kane for TYT Investigates. We've got exclusive comments from former members of the Bush economic team talking about a key plank of Trump's tax plan. That key plank is called a tax repatriation holiday. Basically, the idea is that corporations have trillions of assets overseas. To get those corporations to bring that money back into the US, slash the corporate tax rates in order to boost investment and employment.
We will bring back trillions of dollars that have been parked offshore because of complicated tax systems, that these companies will invest in American plants, American equipment to create American jobs.
Gary Cohn told the Financial Times that he is looking at a one-time tax repatriation holiday. While we don't know if that will be in the actual tax plan, Republicans and Democrats are meeting out to hash out the details. The Trump economic team is involved. And if the tax repatriation holiday is in there, we know that it's not going to work because it was tried in 2004, and economists said it did not work. It did not boost investment or employment. But what we found out is that the Bush Council on Economic Advisors was against the idea back before it was passed, and that the National Economic Council was agnostic about the idea. The Chief of Staff for the Joint Congressional Committee on Taxation was also against the idea. And even President George W. Bush, who ultimately signed the provision into law, was skeptical about the idea before it was passed and then came out against it after. So we spoke with Harvey Rosen, who was on the Bush Council of Economic Advisors from 2003 to 2005 and was the chairman of the council for the last 4 months of his tenure. This is what he told us. When the tax repatriation holiday was being discussed within the White House, the big issue was whether it would induce businesses to invest more and hire more workers. In various meetings, the Council on Economic Advisors argued against this view. So we already know that President Bush, after the tax repatriation holiday was passed, said that he thought it didn't work and that it shouldn't have been in his tax bill. But what we found out is that Bush was skeptical even before the tax repatriation holiday was being debated and was signed into law. We spoke to George Yin, who is currently a professor of law and taxation at the University of Virginia, and he was the chief of staff of the US Congress's Joint Committee on Taxation from 2003 to 2005, when the tax repatriation holiday was being debated and ultimately signed into law. This is what he told us.
When President Bush was first told about the provision, he was meeting with some of his top tax experts as well as some political people, and they explained to him what the nature of the proposal was and all of this. And the word that I got was that, his immediate reaction was, oh, well, we can't do that.
So how do we know that President Bush thought it didn't work after the fact? Turns out, he told President Bill Clinton. In 2015, Clinton told Inc. magazine that during a conversation with Bush, Bush told him that he'd never fool with such a policy again because all the repatriated money went into stock buybacks and dividends. Clinton said that Bush felt personally burned by his constituents. And Clinton repeated the story in September 2016 interview on CNBC.
I would like to see a repatriation initiative that works a little bit different than it did when President Bush signed one. This is one actually where he's probably has a more liberal position than I do because he got so mad that he signed the 5.75% repatriation bill and he said none of it was reinvested. It was all stock by box.
Donald Trump campaigned as this big-time populist. He promised to level the economic playing field for all Americans. But this corporate tax cut plan that he's advancing and the tax repatriation holiday goes totally against that ethos. You see, it only helps out Wall Street, it doesn't help out Main Street. Because the last time the repatriation holiday was tried, corporations cut jobs and that money went to buybacks and dividends. So remember, as Congress debates this tax plan, we should be asking the tough questions about why a tax repatriation holiday is going to be included when we know that the last time it didn't work at all. For TYT Investigates, I'm Alex Kane.